up, guys? Just on my way to work, and Wednesday. So today's question is: was there ever a no-death run that maybe I took too lightly or didn't expect it to be that hard, but then it was actually really tough? It caused me a lot of deaths. It's really hard for me to remember that, to be honest with you. And I'll talk about my stuff and then the community if you guys want to just talk about video game achievements, because I know some of you don't do any of that. You just do playthroughs. So was there ever a game that you were going to play that you didn't expect to be so difficult, and it was like a game that you started, you know? Or was there, maybe you do speed runs, like what speed run was the hardest one? Maybe you do high scores. Which one was the one to get the hardest high score for? You guys can answer whatever you want. Otherwise, if you do no death runs sometimes like me, then go ahead and answer what are ones that were kind of deceiving, you know? So you got the obvious ones, but this didn't, I never thought it was going to be easy. So the Ghosts and Goblins, the Super G&G, the Battletoads, I knew those were going to be hard, so I'm assuming that this is not considering those. This is talking about ones that maybe I took a little lightly and then I expected it to be hard. And I'm trying to remember, the one thing that came to mind immediately that I remember dying a lot on was Contra Hardcore with Fang. And the reason that I say this is because Fang was the one I did it with the last. I did no death run with every character. So Ray, Sheena, and Brownie. And those were all not that bad. I got through them pretty quick, actually. I know that game very, very well. I grew up with the game. But I went to go do it with Fang, and I remember it took really, like, a lot longer than everybody else. I don't know what the time was or whatever. I don't remember it that well, but I remember enough that I remember it being tough. So, because even to this day, I'll still tell you, if you're going to do a Contra Hardcore NDR, I feel like it's the hardest with Fang. Like, he has awesome, strong weapons, but I feel like he's like a bigger sprite too, and he can't dodge as good. That's the problem. When you're doing an NDR, obviously you need to do that, you know? Where Brownie, it's the easiest with him. I mean, it's fucking cheap as hell. He's got the double jump. His weapons are ridiculously strong. There's one in general that's a really weird weapon, but it's fucking ridiculously strong. But, yeah, that one definitely came to mind. Other than that, another one that I guess I'll include because something funny happened. This probably goes back, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 months ago, was Bionic Commando on the NES. And the reason I say that one is because I didn't think I did it. So I was watching somebody else do it, and I said, man, I'd really like to have this one. And I always went back and I go, man, I was working on it, though. Did I quit working on it? Because I remember going live and trying. And, yes, I had a couple of deaths where you get to the very end of the game and you miss the fucking window. I do think that happened to me once. That's the very last thing. A couple of heartbreakers like that, you know? So I went and I typed into YouTube, Bionic Commando No Death Run, Megadan 29, and there it was. I literally went back and watched my stream, which I cut it to where it's just my winning run. But I didn't even, remember doing this stuff or talking about the stuff I was talking about. I remember it was like watching somebody else. It was almost kind of scary, you know? Like, holy shit, dude. I'm, losing some of my memory. You know, that's not cool. You know, is this some early science of some shit? But I'm sure it happens because we do a lot. You know, we do a lot. You can't remember every fucking thing, right? But I'm going to go ahead and add that one in, though, because I didn't even remember that I did it. So, yeah, pretty crazy. Because I was actually like impressed by myself. I was like watching myself going, damn, dude, I was really good at this fucking game. Like, I really understood where to go on every part, and I was going through every door, and like, holy shit, dude. I could turn that game on right now, and I would not be playing like this. Holy shit. But, I'm trying to think of what other one did I maybe struggle with here. That I took for being kind of easy. I mean, I grew up with it, so maybe you could say Life Force. And the only reason I would say Life Force on the NES as well is because at the end, that wall, that door, I'm sorry, it doesn't close. That's Gradius. But at the end, you have to go through that escape thing. And you have to dodge all that stuff. And a couple of them close completely. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, you can look up Life Force NES and then go to the end where he's getting out. And doing that on NDR is kind of tough. You have to basically memorize it. I got through it, but I'm sure I had a death or two at that. And that's after you beat the whole fucking game. You know, so you have the whole shit's right there. You know, you better complete it. I will say there is a playthrough that I could not believe was still taking me so long, but I had to really grind, and that was Star Wars for the Famicom. That was rough, dude. Yeah, that was a tough game. Just when you thought you had it, that stupid shit happened, and you're dying on a bunch of shit that you usually beat the hell out of, you know? So that's definitely what happened to me with Star Wars on the Famicom. So I would add that in as just a playthrough that I didn't expect to take that long, but it did because of that. But, and maybe other playthroughs too. I'm sure there's other things that kind of got me, and I thought it was going to be easier than it was. But it's really hard for me to remember, because do you guys ever feel like once you beat a game, or you like no death run a game, or you're speed running it, whatever, you kind of forget the times of how it was like when you were beating that, like when you were struggling, like when you first played it. It's hard to bring your mind back to Ghosts and Goblins when you first played it versus after now that you've beaten it. Especially if you're like one of us that's like no death ran it, you've like mastered it, right? It's hard to bring yourself back to, man, what was it like the first time I was trying to beat this, you know? Because I think a lot of times, I've even heard people in the community say, well, Battletoads really isn't that bad once you learn it. It's like, right, but that's every game. How about getting there, though, is really tough, dude. Really tough, though. It's hard to get to that point where you do know it and you're really good at it. I mean, you've poured hours in, man, you know? That's any game, literally any game. You spend hours and hours and hours and hours on these games, you're gonna be awesome at it. I mean, you know, sooner or later you're gonna get it, dude, you know? First time I played Cuphead, I wasn't sitting there no death running it like I did. You know what I mean? Like, you have to learn it. That's after playing through the game tons of times, you know? But, one game I will add in there that is just hard in general, like, you know, you can't just easily beat it ever, is Double Dragon 1 for the NES. That's like not a for sure W every time I play. So I'm going to add that one in there, assuming that... So one of the no death runs I did, I know just happened. I think it was two of them, actually. This was back when I recorded with my cell phone. I did one of them. And I think that was supposed to be a playthrough, but I ended up going on a run and doing an NDR. And then I did it on the NES Online once. Because I was just playing through it one night after I'd finished something else, and I know Death ran it on the NES Online. I looked them up recently, and I know I had like 2 or 3 separate ones. But the original one was like done like accidentally, I think, because I just woke up in the morning, or I had gotten home, and then I started recording on my phone. And I remember the recording's really funny because I was like going crazy, dude. I was like, you know, I was just really hyper wanting to play a game where you play a beat 'em up, and I ended up NDRing the fucker. That wasn't even planned. But I can guarantee you that whenever I say, oh, I'm gonna go beat Double Dragon, I can get game over like probably 50% of the time. You know, because once you get to that red carpet and everything, it's tough, dude. You gotta be on your shit, and then Machine Gun Willie, he can fuck your ass up if you don't use that trick at the bottom. If you use the trick at the bottom, I mean, you're like glitching the game, you know? So, I mean, that's taking away the challenge of it. I do not do that. You know, I just don't want to play the game like that. But if you don't glitch it, it's pretty tough. So, yeah, I'd say Double Dragon 1 meets that list also. But, where you wouldn't think it's going to be that hard, and then it's actually kind of tough to just beat it, let alone no death run. You can easily fall off a platform, you can get killed by an Abobo. There's a lot of bullshit that can happen, you know? And it doesn't come off as like, oh, it's going to be tough. It comes off as it's pretty easy, and then you fucking die. And you go, dude, what the fuck, man? You know? Great game, though. Great game. Anyway, I think that's about it, guys. So let me know any of your playthroughs, no death runs, speed runs, no damage runs, whatever, from any system ever. What was a game that you maybe took lightly, and then it kind of kicked your ass a little bit, and you're going, holy shit, alright. This is kind of tough, dude. Alright, this shouldn't be that hard. What the hell's going on, you know? Let me know in the comments below. Otherwise, hope you had fun listening. And I will talk